everybody, it's Jen here doing my 14th process video. This layout was done for or on National Scrapbook Day weekend. I can't remember which day. I think this was actually done on Saturday. And this was a challenge from the Hip Kit Club. Sorry, my goodness, my brain is not working today. The Hip Kit Club crop that they had for National Scrapbook Day. Sorry, I should be like prepared before I start talking, right? And this challenge, I think it was called Contrast, and I should have looked it up before I started doing the video. But it was all about having everything be black and white and then just adding in one color. So I have done orange, obviously, and then I'm just going to layer up a whole bunch of different orange papers as well as black and white, and one is sort of more of a gray color. That one's actually a black and white really fine chevron, but you can't tell. And to make life a little bit easier on myself, I've cut most of them just as 6 by 6, and then I've cut that one as a bit of a mat for my photo. I'm just trimming it down here. So I have a larger photo. I think that's a 5 by 7. And this is a layout about my boys doing a basketball camp. It was all week long on spring break. It was every evening for 2.5 hours. They were like utterly exhausted every night when we picked them up. And so they did a big group shot one of the days, and then on the last day we got a picture of my oldest son with his coach. You can see in the top corner there, and then the other photo is a photo of my younger son with his group on the last day. So I wanted to include all 3 of these photos, and I had thought I had printed a 4 by 6 and a 5 by 7 to see what I thought, and I could not find my 4 by 6 because I would have preferred that as this kind of, I wanted a lot more white space on here than I ended up getting because this 5 by 7 is so big. And of course, when I was finished, I found the 4 by 6, but you know what? Sometimes it's done, and so be happy, right? So I still think it turned out great. I just would have preferred that 4 by 6, and I could have made my cluster a little bit smaller. But whatever, I'm totally okay with it. Here I'm just matting my 2 smaller photos on the same paper, just to sort of pull those together. It's a little bit different though than the mat that big photo is on, just for a little bit of contrast. And you can see there I have 3 different orange papers, and then I have a really large print, that black one in the background. It actually has big, large black ampersands on it. That's from the Fancy Pants Office Suite collection. And then that small black and white chevron, I think it's a really old basic gray. So all of these came out of my stash except for that black ampersand was in my Memory Workshop kit this month, and then the large, totally awesome black and white stripe was in my March Hip kit. And literally that's all of the paper there is. I had cut out all of the inside because I liked both sides of the paper a lot, and I hadn't gotten 2 sheets of it, so that there is nothing in the back there. That white paper is barely holding on to the edge because I knew I wanted to use that black and white stripe as a border, and then I used like every crumb of that paper up. It was beautiful. The other side was like mint green, large polka dots with on a white background with small black polka dots. It was beautiful. Anyways, for the design for this, sorry, I cannot remember who put this challenge up. I want to say it was Alexandra, but I'm not 100% sure. But her example, I really, really liked how she did it, so I used that heavily. She had cut like a border, whereas, sorry, not a border, a banner out of the big long orange piece. That was a banner, but because I had that extra photo, I didn't do that. But I used most of her idea for her layering, just changing it up to make it fit with mine. So you can see here now that I've got everything laid down, you can see what I mean about that having that 5 by 7 photo. It covered so much of the background, and it looks okay. It's just, I would have preferred to be able to see more white, but again, it's totally fine. I don't know what happened here. My video is stuck, or I've run away. Oh, I think I ran out of tape and I was dealing with that, sorry. So here I'm just fiddling. What I'm doing here is I don't want that photo, that top left photo, to go over the edge of the white, and I'm trying to make it match up with how far the right side is from the edge and how far that left top photo is from the edge. I'm trying to match them up so that they're even, if that makes sense. And when I looked at it later, I had meant to make the top, between the top of the left photo and the bottom right photo be the same. They're not off by a lot, but I would have liked everything to be moved up just a smidge. It's just me and my eye and the way that I like things to be. But I would have preferred everything moved up just a smidget. So now I'm going through my considerable sticker stash and pulling out black thickers to do my title. And I have lots. So I went with one that was sort of like a doodly chalk one for camp, and then this quite old chipboard one in black. And what I'm doing when I'm putting these down is I'm trying to have them go over a whole bunch of the layers. And I'm actually going to move that basketball over a bit in a second, just because it's way off the edge and then the rest isn't, so that you can see I'm going to move it over. And on the video it's a little bit hard to read, but in person it's a little bit easier to read because I have it mostly in just white space on the photo there. It's just a bit dark. So I keep my embellishment fairly simple, and I was going to cut all this out, but I left it in because sometimes I think it's nice to see other people, their process, and sometimes how long it can take. So because I had started this without a plan, I am going through my stash, and that's one of those iris trays that you can get at Michael's, and I'm pulling out all the orange and gray and white and black stuff that I have, and then I'm just going from there. So a lot of those labels that you're seeing there are print and cuts that I've done, and then I've put them all in this iris container or iris tray. And then I have a little mini thing full of flare badges, and you can see there's another little mini container with a bunch of wood hearts and stuff in it. I tend to sort of sort out my embellishments when I put them away in my stash. I also had right there, and I was super, super happy I used them. Right by my elbow, you can see there's some little quotes with orange on them. Those are so old. I ordered those from Studio Calico ages ago, and I cut up the sheet and put them in this iris container. There's also right beside them, it's really hard to see, actually a vellum one that came in some kit from Studio Calico or something. Never used any of them. Like, I'm not kidding, like not one of them. I hate that. I hate having stuff stuck in your stash and it never ever gets used. So I was really, really excited that I ended up using it on this layout. So, and that tag has been in my stash for a while as well, so I actually just cut the top of it off because that was all I needed and put the rest in because there was a pretty gold heart on it, so I thought I might end up using that some other time. So as I was saying, I went with the design team's person's layout, and then once I started my embellishment, I veered off from what they did because I had these 2 extra photos, and so I put my clusters in a little bit differently. But I was sort of doing Chamel thought, if that makes sense, in that I wanted to do 3 clusters around my photos to bring your eye into the center photo. So I'm using black tag, orange label, that's a gray label tag in the background, and just doing odd numbered clusters. So there I'm using one of those little speech bubbles with orange on it, super excited. Using an older flare, I think that's from Flair for Buttons. They have awesome flare, and I actually meant to order some over the National Scrapbook weekend and forgot, so kick myself because I think they had a sale and they have some really nice ones. So another time. But I'm using, I think I end up using 3, so that's great too, getting them out of my stash. So what am I doing here? Thinking, I don't know. Oh, I decided to, because I was thinking, sometimes when I'm thinking, I kind of go and write something down and sort of finish something off. Oh, I was getting out those stars. So in that left container there, it's really hard to see on the video. There's a whole ton of like foil stars. They came in this huge package from Studio Calico, and I haven't yet to use them. But they're sort of orange and red and silver, I think. So I pulled out all the orange ones, and I'm putting 3 sort of like enamel dots around each of the little clusters that I'm making, and then I was stapling them down. And I think all but one of them I stapled them on the layout. I think one I just couldn't reach, and I've been having some trouble with my tiny attacher, and hoping not to have to replace it for a while. So I didn't open it up and try to do it in the middle of the layout, because last time I did that, it is when I started having my problems with it. So, but sometimes it's, yeah, you don't want to muck with something that's already being temperamental. So there I'm using that little vellum speech bubble. I'm hiding the fact that it's a speech bubble, but just using it more as a background layer so that I didn't have a bunch of trapped white space. And then I'm using another one of those speech bubbles from Studio Calico, using another print and cut. That's a, I think, Freckled Fawn arrow paper clip. And then another flare. Just fiddling around with the placement so that there's not sort of trapped space in between them. And then now I'm working on this last cluster. So circle, because there's sort of a circular element on all the rest of them. Another flare pulled in there. I think that circle might be one of the Evalicious exclusive die cuts that we got in the March Hip Kit. If I am looking at it correctly, and another Freckled Fawn arrow paperclip. And that one, a flare, needed a little bit of a pop-up because of where I was putting it in the paperclip. And cleaning up now. Sorry, I should have edited that part out. But sometimes when I kind of get down to the end, I like to move stuff out of my way. And then it gives me a clearer sort of vision of the layout and what I want to do on it. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. Sometimes having the big mess everywhere, I love it because I'm into it and I'm pulling things. But then I kind of hit a point where I have to clean up a bit, or I just feel like maybe overwhelmed with product, and then I feel like I have to just keep adding and adding and adding. And for some people that works really awesome. I find if I keep adding and adding, it doesn't work for me. I don't like where I add it, and it just, yeah. Oh, there, that's me fighting with this stupid tiny toucher. I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and buy a new one soon. I think it's had lots of very heavy use for like the 3 or 4 years that I've had it, and it's not happy anymore. And there's that one that I'm sticking down because I do not want to try to open that tiny attacher up, because I'd already had trouble with it sticking. And very last thing, I'm going to put some ink on. I think, yes, I'm going to put some India ink, some calligraphy ink. So this is the first time I ever used it, so I think I'm going to pull out a scratch piece of paper to play with it a little bit first. Yeah. So that was just an old, ugly piece of cardstock. I have lots of old, ugly cardstock. I usually use them to back layouts like that I have put gesso on, because I made a huge mess on my really pretty blue American Crafts mat, and it's not coming off either. So looking forward to you guys seeing my videos with the giant black smears. There's going to be another smear on it later. Sorry for my head. But I wanted to just test that a little bit because I hadn't used the ink before, and there's a big splop that I got right in the middle of the B, and I do try to clean up a little bit, and I think it's okay, but I wasn't really happy about that. Sorry for my head in the way there. See, I kind of got it so there's a little bit of white left, and you can tell it's a B, but I wasn't thrilled with the fact that I splooped it right there. But you know what? When your ink is messy, and especially the first time you've ever used something like that, I think I did a pretty good job of splotting it around, other than that big mess in the corner there. And I don't know how I do another big mess down on the bottom left, probably because I'm a lefty. Oh, and I'm all done out of time. Talk to you later. Bye.